Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Infos podcast. I'm Marco, and in this episode, I have a special guest besides me. This man needs no introduction.
Because he is I, and I am him, and I'm Matt Taven. Hello, Marco.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Anytime I can say I'm Matt Taven, it makes, I don't know, it just makes me feel better.
I can relate to that, so I love it, and I will, of course, use it as my clock in the morning from nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. If you need to, if you're a guy that has a tough time getting out of bed, I'm sure that'll wake you right up. You'll probably want to shut that one off real quick. You don't want that to repeat too many times.
So, as I said just a few moments ago, I really love your setup, and what catched my eye really is this little purple belt right there.
Yes. So in the top corner here, that's Purple Rain. That's the one that actually Jay Lethal smashed to bits. It's
the Real World's Championship.
Yes, it's the Real World's Championship. I don't like to touch it too much because the plates are they're held on by like a thin thread, because Jay Lethal was so jealous. He smashed that beautiful thing into little baby bits. So I'm happy that I was able to kind of put it together and get it up on the mantle there. Yeah, that's number one in my heart. That's my favorite title that I've ever had possession of.
Nice. So during your stay with Ring of Honor, which was basically from 2009, so you've been there like 13 years, and you've accomplished basically everything from winning the top prospect tournament to the World Championship. If you look back to it, is there something you regret you haven't accomplished, or is there something you would have done other than you did?
Something that I wish I accomplished. I would have loved to be Ring of Honor World Champion again, just because I think there's such a prestigiousness of winning it the first time, and then there's like very few guys that have won it second time, and I just felt like I had so much more to prove as champion. When I won the title, it was at a crazy time for the company, so I would have loved to had another shot at it and kind of cement my legacy as Ring of Honor World Champion. But I really don't look back with much regret. I guess if I was nitpicking, I would say that, but I was able to do so much of my time there. 2009, I had my first dark match, and I really was just kind of working underneath, hoping to get a spot here or there whenever I could get an opportunity, until about 2012. And then being there for the next decade or so, or almost decade, it gave me so many opportunities, and luckily I took advantage of a lot of them, from winning the television title the first night I was under contract to being the first ever 6-man tag champions. Like, there was so many things there that I felt like when you look at the history books, my name's going to be right there at the top. So I feel like I accomplished a lot there. I don't know if I regret anything in particular. I guess if I had to choose one thing, I would have loved to held the big one one more time. But at the same time, now it's this whole new life. It's continuing to live on, which is such a great thing. The legacy of Ring of Honor is so rich with history that I'm glad that it's going to continue on. So you never know. Maybe I'll get an opportunity to do that again. Who knows? Who knows what the future will hold? Because if you told me last year that I would be looking back at my memories of Ring of Honor, I would have been like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? So it's a crazy wrestling world. But I definitely look back at all my memories of Ring of Honor very fondly.
Yeah, you say it. So it's a crazy world right now. So if somebody had said to me you'd end up in Impact, it's still crazy. So it's like synonymous to me, Ring of Honor and Matt Taven. But you rose up, and what many people, especially in Germany here, don't know is you started your Impact engagements, let's say, whilst you still was under a Ring of Honor contract.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many crazy things. If you told me last year when we were Ring of Honor Tag Champions that I would be Impact Tag Champions a year later,
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't believed you. But there was when Impact reached out to us after the Ring of Honor announcement, there was a kind of a hectic contract situation with a lot of the Ring of Honor guys just because they were expiring at different times. But, just like Ring of Honor, I can never say a bad word about because they always looked out for us, especially during the pandemic. Sinclair Broadcasting did great by all of us, all the guys and the girls. They always looked out for during all the whole pandemic. And even after things started getting announced, they were looking out for us. So they wanted to make sure that if there was any opportunities that were coming up, that we weren't going to have to, pass on them because of our contractual obligations. So they were able to kind of work things out and let the kind of the door open for some of us to show up at Impact. It was really great of them. And honestly, it was kind of happened all so quickly because a couple of days before we showed up in Dallas, I wasn't going to be part of the show. And then all of a sudden, a couple of phone calls get made and here I am running out at Hard to Kill. So it was really a wild situation, but Ring of Honor was really good to us and making sure that we were looked out for and helping us kind of move on to the next chapter of our careers.
And with this new chapter, did you see it as kind of a chance to reinvent yourself? Because I think you don't get enough credit for this, but you're like one of my three top guys to make a different or several transitions to adapt their characters and make it credible.
And I appreciate that. And it's something that I always kind of think about. I always like looking at my attire and you can kind of pick out what part of my career I'm in. Cause I try to, like the people that I've looked up to in the past, evolve with the times and evolve into all these new chapters that have happened over my career and kind of not only show by my attire, but like my mannerisms show it's not a thing just for myself, but it shows all the crowd that, hey, this is a different Matt Taven than you've seen before. But going into Impact, I think that we had something to prove, especially Mike and I, of we're not just Ring of Honor guys. We can succeed anywhere. We held the New Japan titles in the past and we had regained the Ring of Honor titles at a time where I felt like we were just kind of really hitting our stride and coming back together and we're better than ever. And we really felt like as soon as we get an opportunity here, we're going to show that we're one of the top tag teams. And I think that there's a very small list. Actually, I know it's just us and the Briscoes list of people that have won New Japan, Ring of Honor, and Impact tag titles. And that's something I'm really proud of. It's something that I say to myself, like, not that my career is based upon, what titles I won or what, but it's nice to see that everywhere I've showed up, I've succeeded in one facet or another. I've made an impact per se in one facet or another. And I look back at the last 9 months of Honor No More since we walked into Impact. And I think what's another group that has been this impactful and has been the top story going through all these different months. So I'm really proud of what has happened ever since we ended up leaving Ring of Honor and joining Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, we as fans too. So first it was kind of an oddball couple to me, like especially seeing Vincent and you team up again.
Yes.
But through your history and also the matches, you had a great rivalry against the Bullet Club, for example. You made it really believable. And I can imagine it gives like a feeling of homecoming if you come to this roster or in this locker room, like with all those guys you've known for years. What was it? How can I imagine stepping you the first time in an Impact locker room?
Well, we were lucky because a lot of the people in the Impact locker room we've seen from our travels before, whether they came through Ring of Honor or people that, you know, I've met in New Japan or even in Mexico. So there was a lot of familiar faces, but to me, there were so many unsure things up in the air when the Ring of Honor stuff started happening and all the rumors about what was the future of the company was happening, that when I look back at the Hard to Kill pay-per-view and I see us lined up there, and it's, you know, myself and Vincent and Kenny and PCO and Maria and Mike and Eddie to come in, and it's like these guys I've known for so long and I've gone through so much with, that jumping into a whole new ocean and a whole new chapter of life, it wasn't as scary because I had all these guys that I'd been through so much with already by my side. And it was really kind of like a group mentality of like this, you know, wrestling's full of ups and downs, and maybe Ring of Honor, we're kind of on a little bit of a down, but let's pick each other right back up and let's take this place over. And when I look back at those first couple of pictures, it's really kind of, those are special to me, because that's like every single person in that group just went through a couple of months where life was very unsure, and now here we are all together, figuring it out together and attacking a new adventure. So that was really, really special to kind of have everyone that I was so familiar with by my side when we debuted at Impact.
Great. And if you look back to the matches you've had by now in Impact, could you pick out one you'd say it's the most special to you?
You know, there's a couple of matches where myself and Eddie Edwards and Mike Bennett were in some 6-man matches. I mean, clearly probably the most special one is the winning the Impact tag titles. But for me personally, Eddie Edwards has helped myself and Vincent and Mike so much when we were all coming up on the independent scene, because we're all from the same area. We're all from the New England area. And he was a guy that we all looked up to, and we were in Ring of Honor together with him, and he looked out for us, and now he's looking out for us in Impact. And when the three of us, myself, Mike, and Eddie, were in the ring together, it just kind of clicked. Like we had always, it almost seemed like we had been a 6-man for, you know, a million years. It was just the chemistry was right there. And we had 2 matches in particular, one with the Motor City Machine Guns and Frankie Kazarian, and another one with the Guns and was Speedball Mike Bailey, that I really felt like, oh, we've made a home here in Impact Wrestling. Like we were the new guys for a little bit, but now like we're clearly planted our flag into the soil here, and we're something, a force to be messed with, you know, where we're making an impact per se on this company. And it's clearly something that's clicking and that's working. So I think those 6-man matches in particular is matches that I personally am like, that's when we really had our coming out party at Impact Wrestling. But also it made me feel like, okay, I kind of have a new home here at Impact Wrestling.
I love it. You just run over my notice sheet. It's awesome. So, and those matches you've mentioned, I can really, to all of our viewers and listeners, I can recommend to watch them on Impact Plus or on YouTube, because I find myself often go back to relive memories and history, especially on Impact or TNA as it was called by then.
Definitely. I mean, they got 20 years of it and some unbelievable stuff in there. Every time I'm checking out the social media or the Impact Insiders, I'm like, oh, I forgot that this happened. And, you know, it's like, I haven't seen this match in so long. There's so much good stuff on there. And it's got an incredible history that I think doesn't probably get enough credit for how it's really changed the wrestling world.
Yeah, totally. Speaking Honor No More, who came up with the name?
The name, I think, was something that might have been presented to us and just kind of agreed upon as a group. I think it's not necessarily something that we're like, oh, no more honor, but it's just, you know, it's a group of people that came from a spot that now find a common goal in trying to survive survive in Impact Wrestling. You know, we all came from ROH, and we're looking to kind of not leave that in the past, because that'll always be part of us, but to show that we can have a new chapter of our careers that has nothing to do with ROH. So we're leaving it in the past and we're on to new places. So it's like kind of just honor no more. Like you think you knew us from Ring of Honor, but this is a whole new group of guys and girls that have something to prove and have a huge chip on their shoulder. And, you know, we're coming off a situation where we might have wanted it to work out differently, and we're going to take out a lot of that frustration on Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, but what stayed the same is the OGK was successful. As you've
Yes.
mentioned, you've collected the tag team championships with Mike all around the world. What's next for the OGK? Can we expect you sometimes to pop up in Germany?
I mean, we would love to. We would love to. You know, we're always looking for the next challenge. I've actually never wrestled in Germany. It's one of those places that's on the list I need to get to. So I would love to do something like that. And we really want to make these world titles. We want to show up anywhere they'll have us and put these titles on the line. We don't really care where it is. I mean, clearly we've succeeded everywhere we've gone. So we're not really scared of showing up here or there and saying, all right, you want to try to take these titles off us? Well, then test yourself. You know, we're currently also doing some NWA stuff. We would love to pick up those tag titles. And I don't know if any team has held NWA, New Japan, Ring of Honor, and Impact, that we could be the first team to ever do that. So maybe that's a goal of ours. But we're just looking to go anywhere they'll have us, and to prove that we really truly believe we're one of the best tag teams in the world. And we work every day to make that not just something that we say, you know, not just something that it's like, oh, this is a cliche thing. Like, no, I take great pride in saying, like, we can hang with literally anyone. And I put our matches up against any other top team, and we would love to show up at any place that thinks they have one of the best teams in the world and show why we think we're better.
And the next test for you, which is up, is obviously the biggest event of the year. What's the feeling to going in as the champion with this little shiny? It's I can't look at it. I have very bad eyes and I'm light sensitive, so I have to.
I know the glare off it is kind of it's glowing right now. But it for us, I mean, we wanted an opportunity at the tag team titles since day one of getting into Impact, just because we knew that we would end up with them over our shoulders. But it kind of is all perfect timing, because going into now Bound for Glory, one of the biggest shows of the year, going back up north to where we all really kind of broke in on the independent scene up in New York, and going in as the tag team champions, you really couldn't ask for a better situation, because we plan on keeping these titles and holding up Eddie Edwards on our shoulders like we did when he won the #1 contendership, except this time he's going to have the world title. And Honor No More said that we were coming into Impact Wrestling from day one to take over. We've been a menace. Scott D'Amore has done everything he possibly could to try to slow our momentum. And we told him, like, don't be a Melvin. You know what's going to happen eventually. And here we are. It's about to happen. You know, Kenny King, he needs another shot at that X Division title because he was screwed out of it. But I feel like Bound for Glory, you're not just going to see Honor No More with the tag team championships. You're going to see Eddie Edwards with the world title. And that's the way that pay-per-view needs to end. I mean, give me a better going home shot than all of us standing in the ring, staring at a crowd that we grew up in front of, and having the most important titles in Impact Wrestling. That's the way the story needs to end.
Yeah, right. Would be another full circle.
Definitely.
I get the message. Honor No More is taking over. So you've mentioned Scott D'Amore, and he's often credited as the mastermind of the upcoming second spring, so to say, of Impact. How is it to work with him?
I mean, it's been difficult. It's been difficult because we came in here and clearly he made us earn our stripes. But I think we're forcing his hand, and he's a guy that's been around wrestling long enough to know how talented we are, because considering we're doing it right in front of him. You know, if he denies us at this point, it's just, that's on him. But he's not stupid enough to not see what's in front of him, to not see how money Honor No More is, to not see that every time that Matt Taven and Vincent and PCO and every time this crew goes out to the ring, no matter what incarnation it is of it, no matter what, you know, it's these two guys, it's Mike and Maria, it's no matter what, that's when the crowd is reacting the loudest. And that's when they're at their most attentive, is when Honor No More is coming down to the ring. And that's because we are all legit stars, and he knows that. And maybe it took him a while to realize that, realize what he's got. But now that we're not, you know, we won the right to be in Impact Wrestling months ago, and now that we're here, and I mean, what is he going to do now? Fire me? I got his title. What is he going to do? Come to my house and get it? What did he come to my house, Scott? But now that he sees that he's kind of trapped, he has to do, you know, what we want to, because we've proven how good we are in the last 9 months here being in Impact Wrestling. So, Scott, if you really are a genius, like I've heard, then I think you better start being a little bit nicer to Honor No More.
I think that's a good summit. So I really thank you for your time, and we are ready for the takeover.
Yes.
We're looking for the biggest show of the year. Have a great evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Taven.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And, you know, we need to get over to Germany sooner than later. That's for sure.